Have you ever thought about what goes into activities like throwing a ball? Writing an exam, placing an object, or even opening the door? Behind these seemingly effortless actions lie intricate mechanisms of the hand. What if you find yourself a victim of trauma, road traffic accidents, burns, or even cancer? Globally, around 3 million individuals suffer from arm amputations, the prevalence of which is expected to double by the year 2050. This is where prosthesis come into play.
Over the past 2,000 years, prosthetics as innovating devices have undergone multiple phases and eras. Starting as a simple aesthetic unit for amputees to fit into the society, they have turned into bionic hands that restores both sensory and motor function, making them a step closer to a real hand. So, how does such complex machines work? Let's see. The prosthetic application is a two-step process, starting off with TMR or targeted muscle reinnervation for short. Initially, your limb is supplied by 4 main nerves: musculocutaneous, median nerve, ulnar, and radius. However, in cases of transhumeral amputation, the whole limb is lost. So even though you have the nerves alive, however, they are not sending or receiving any signals, rendering them useless. Moreover, neuroma formation can occur, and neuromas are small benign tumors of the nerves that can cause phantom pain. So the idea of the surgery is to take these nerves, redirect them, and reinnervate them into the muscles. In this case, the muscles are pectoralis major and minor muscles that are useless in this case. So after we reinnervate them, the nerves will grow, and this reduces the risk of neuroma formation. In other words, TMR gives the severed nerve somewhere to go and something to do. Thanks to this surgery, we are able to prevent muscle atrophy, nerve death, and even give them back their functionality. Moreover, this makes it easier for patients to live with amputation.
But how do we translate this information from the body to the bionic limb? The interaction starts with electrodes, which will be implanted into the pectoral muscles. So let's just say you have a neuronal thought of moving your hand, for instance. This message is completely delivered all the way to a specific group of muscles. So these group of muscles act as an amplifier of the signal, which gives out myoelectric signals which will be detected by the corresponding electrode. So what this does next is that the electrode sends this signal to an analog to digital converter, which then sends it to the microcontroller, which is the brain of the bionic limb, through the series peripheral interface. The microcontroller then identifies the data and actuates the motors, leading us to the ultimate goal, moving the bionic limb. So now that we know how the prosthesis works as such, let's get an insight on the amputee's experience with the artificial limb.
I was born without my arm, so I was born without my arm from about a little bit past the elbow. So I had my whole life, I've kind of lived with all the aspects of it. I've learned how to do everything one-handed or with the help of some sort of prosthetic. I've worn prosthetics since I was about 6 months old. I started using myoelectric systems like this one in 2020. It's actually funny, a lot of people have told me in my life that they sort of forget. Like they'll ask me to grab something and they'll also pull this and I can't. And then they'll be like, oh, I genuinely forgot. It sort of fades away. But I think as I got older, I realized that it's just not, it's one of those things that's not going away, you know what I mean? So you might as well embrace it. The reason I stuck with this one was strength, like durability, waterproofness, and then I would also say aesthetics. I think I like the look of this pen a lot. Sound. It's waterproof only up to the wrist. So the biggest issue that I have with this hand is that I struggle to find motor past it. I probably put it at like a 4.
Despite the revolutionary leap in the field of bionic hands, there are several limitations that we need to tackle, such as diminished sensory feedback, heavy weight, loud noise generated by motors, low battery life, and most importantly, the high cost. The loss of the hand not only results in the loss of your motor functions, but also all your sensations: pain, vibration, temperature, proprioception. Although this aspect of sensations is well researched, the implementation is lacking. However, researchers have come up with multiple novel ideas, such as the use of sensors which change color depending on the pressure, vibration, and temperature. or the use of one sensation to compensate the loss of another. For example, auditory feedback from the bionic limb as it approaches an object, or the direct interface of the central and peripheral nervous system. Many more ideas have been proposed in the past few decades, but they were rejected due to technical issues and lack of miniaturization. Nonetheless, in the near future, we may even be able to rewire the PNS so that the CNS can perceive sensations, or devise a way to stimulate pathways of pain or temperature using artificial neurotransmitters, which will be released at the neuronal ends. Honestly, the scope for this field as such is endless to innovative ideas. Moving on to the next one.
And to be honest, limitations are constantly being addressed within the bionic hands field. For instance, the loud noise generated by motor bionic hands could be replaced by hydraulic motors instead. Or the heavy weight that a lot of amputees are complaining of can be just simply solved by changing the material, such as to a solid foam. But to be honest, let's actually get to the nitty-gritty stuff. How much does a bionic hand really cost? I mean, think about it. What's the point of creating a machine that isn't really available for the people who actually need it? And the reality is, it costs quite a lot. For instance, you have the bionic hands on the lower end, the less caustic one, would cost anywhere from 10 to 20,000. And the bionic hands on the more expensive end would cost up to 150,000. And to be honest, for most amputees, this is quite a daunting number because it's not only exclusive to the hand itself, it comes in with the additions of the TMR surgery, which costs about 15,000, or even the doctor appointments or the rehabilitation centers. And putting all of this into the amputee's mind, they kind of find that it's quite a daunting number and quite useless. And for companies, the way they view it is, what's the point of creating a product that doesn't have many, users? And to be honest, I'm here to prove that this is all just a pure myth. Currently, there are over 60 million amputation cases worldwide. And to be honest, only the prosthetic arm market is bound to explode, going all the way from $880 million worth up to $2 billion worth. And this, as a company, urges us to continuously find a way to decrease the price to be ahead of the market. But what innovative ideas do we have to decrease the prices? Now let's look at our own suggestions. First up, insurance policies. According to the American Orthotics and Prosthetics Association, the expense of prostheses is often paid out by the individual himself. So what we're suggesting is, if we can have a certain partnership with any of the insurance companies to cover the people that are more particularly at a higher risk of getting amputated, for instance the war soldiers, that will be an innovative way to potentially widen our market, yet provide it for a lot more people in need. Secondly, we can look forward to expanding our product by providing an app, for instance. So instead of covering all the costs of going to a rehabilitation session or to doctors, we can provide basically a direct connection between our customers and us, basically through an app that would come as maybe a monthly subscription, for instance. Thirdly, the prosthetic arm in itself has a lot of free space. And instead of making them battery powered where they have to essentially recharge it every 15 hours, we can essentially install solar panels on all of this free space for the prosthetic arms, which will be a revolutionary idea for both the amputation users and for us. And these are just a few suggestions of what we could suggest for the people to decrease the price and make it a global market and expand it to all amputees in need.
So what we're trying to say is that science has continued to bridge the gap between day-to-day problems and provide us with modernized solutions. I mean, think about it. Previous unfathomable ideas like bionic hands that work like real hands with simple thought has now become reality. It is important to note, however, that although we have come far in the field of bionics, there is still much to do. Basic functions of bionics have yet to be perfected. Cost has yet to be decreased. And prosthetics have yet to be available in countries like Africa, where the prevalence of amputees is high, whereas available of prosthesis is low. Nevertheless, with further research and continued dedication, all of these limitations will undoubtedly be overcome. After all,